News 8 is hearing from candidates running for state house seats here in the Susquehanna Valley. And now we're talking with the candidates for the 193rd district that covers parts of Adams and Cumberland counties. The incumbent Republican Will Tallman is not seeking re-election this term. Torrin Ecker is the Republican candidate, and Matthew Nelson is the Democratic candidate. Thank you both for being here today, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Torrin, it's worth noting, won a very, very close primary race to be here, so congratulations on that. Gentlemen, we'll start with Torrin. Just key priorities. Why are you running at this point in your life, at this point in Pennsylvania's history?
Sure. You know, I think we're at a time now where there's a lot of partisanness in Harrisburg and in D.C. And frankly, my experience as an attorney, I think I have the ability to help break the logjam, at least from our district's perspective, and resolving conflict, building relationships. Those things are important to getting things done. And you know, we have a lot of different crises, if you will, out there, and I think in a time where there's a lot of common ground out there to get things done. For example, you know, workforce development is something I'm really passionate about. I think we have an opportunity to really get kids to work in jobs like in the trades, especially where we don't have a ton of interest in that for whatever reason there is, but there's good paying jobs out there for kids, family sustaining jobs in the trades that you don't need to go to college and get a 4-year degree in and come out with a ton of debt. You can go straight out of high school with these apprenticeship programs, and supporting them at the state level, I think, is a passion of mine.
Great. Matt, what about you? What about the key priorities to run now?
I think one of the biggest reasons I saw is I was tired of being on the sidelines, seeing our government continually be divided, seeing our government being forced too far to the right or too far to the left. Most of the people I talk to live in that middle ground. They want the same types of things. They want good paying jobs. They want their kids to go to good schools. We want to take care of ourselves and take care of our families. But what I've seen too long, I've lived in Adams County most of my life, and I'm tired of the same narrative where we elect the same politicians that say we have to control spending, we have to reduce bureaucracy, we have to eliminate regulations. And those are good things. We should definitely work on those things. But we keep sending the same type of representative, and those things don't happen. And then in addition, our schools get less funding, our infrastructure gets neglected, our health care becomes inaccessible and unaffordable. So we need to find a candidate then that's going to focus on those issues, focus on the things that matter to all of us, things that affect our daily lives, so that we can improve those things, so we can have our good schools get even better, so that our infrastructure, we can get roads and bridges and rural broadband access to help the local small businesses in our area improve, and then maybe also find a way to get healthcare to be accessible and affordable. We just need a person that's going to focus on those issues and not get distracted by party politics.
Both of you guys talking about bipartisanship. I think everybody in the 193rd would be happy to hear that. Let's talk about specifically a property tax issue. It's something that affects everybody across different income levels and ages. Torrin, what's the answer to property taxes in Pennsylvania?
Sure, and it's a complicated question. This is not obviously a novel topic we've talked about in Pennsylvania politics, but I think you first need to look at the cost drivers of property tax. Now, you know, first and foremost, I support, resolving the property tax issue and eliminating that issue for folks, because I've helped folks, you know, save houses because of property tax in my job. But you got to look at the cost drivers. You know, the pension fund, unfunded mandates, the fair funding formula. These types of things would, I think, also have a net effect of being able to decrease the reason why property tax are increases, because let's face it, school property tax is what people are upset about, and those cost drivers themselves are what are causing the property taxes to rise, and schools care about our kids. They care about providing a good education for ourselves, and quite honestly, the property tax issue is because of these cost drivers, because of these pension funds. And trying to drive those costs down will have a net effect of reducing property tax rather than shifting a huge tax burden, which is scary. I mean, you know, shifting that tax consequence, there's a lot of unintended consequences that people aren't
running out of time. I understand what you're trying to. We want to attack the cost drivers before we address the tax. Quickly, Matt, what about you on property taxes?
Property tax clearly does need reform. Talking to people all around Adams and Cumberland County, that's one of the things that they really care about. But we need to reform it then too. So we need to find that revenue somewhere else in Pennsylvania. Too often, giant corporations, multi-state corporations don't pay their fair share in taxes. We allow those profits to go outside of Pennsylvania. And our state legislators have been neglectful by allowing that revenue to leave Pennsylvania while our schools need that, while our taxpayers are continuing to be burdened by that property tax. So let's have a legislator then that'll go to Harrisburg and bring that revenue back to Pennsylvania so we can spend it on things that we care about, like public education. And when we invest that in our local school districts, you can still have local control. You'll be able to go to your school boards and talk to them and tell them, do you want that additional revenue to be spent on infrastructure? Do you want it to be bet on technology? Or it can even lower our property tax, and that'll benefit not only our property owners, but also those same small businesses.
20-second pitch. Why are you the guy for the 193rd?
Sure. I have proven experience as an attorney and as a community leader. I think my experience as an attorney, I've represented folks that have dealt with government issues.
Yeah.
I've seen the good and the bad with government. Whether it be saving the family farm or creating that new business and then running into a regulation issue, the next day.
Yep.
My job as an attorney is to resolve conflict and to build relationships with folks. And I think that opportunity, that experience will help me to be an asset in Harrisburg.
Matt, 20 seconds.
I helped grow a business. I work for Aqua Phoenix Scientific in Hanover. It's a business I helped found in 2003. And I helped grow that business in Hanover and Adams and York County. So I know how to work with people from all different backgrounds and helped build that with all of the different types of regulations that we had to do to build that company. Now that company has multi-millions in sales, employs over 170 people. So we've had to learn everything to build that business, and that's the type of experience and leadership that I can take to Harrisburg.
Good job, guys. Really appreciate the time. Thanks for being here. Well, remember, Election Day is November 6th. The polls are open at 7 a.m. until 8 in the evening, and stay with WGL News 8 on Election Day to watch your vote count.